Good morning and welcome to NewsX. We're live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125, across all our social media handles. We're Joy News on TV. Coming up, stakeholders worried about the irregular placement of BEC candidates in senior high schools. We'll hear from them. Also coming up in the bulletin, latest Afrobarometer report says 9 out of 10 Ghanaians want free SHS retained. We'll delve into that as well and explore what it means as well as their findings. Also, how does the CPP intend winning the 2024 elections? We've got a conversation with its presidential candidate, Nana Akosua from Poma Sapon Kuma. We'll engage her and find her thoughts and policies as we start the bulletin. My name is Faustina Safo. It's a pleasure doing the next 60 minutes with you. Take a seat. Be my guest. Well, stakeholders are worried about what they describe as erratic and irregular placement of BEC candidates in senior high schools across the country. Now, though they admit that some students had poor results, they contend that these students can get better if placed in very good schools. Well, let's speak to Enoch Jesse. He is the Executive Director of the National Council of Private Schools. He joins us live with more. The Private Schools Association, you have some concerns. Tell us about them. Enoch, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly. We're just touching base with the Executive Director of the National Council of Private Schools. You have some concerns about the placement of students in private schools in this year's placement. So tell us about it. What exactly is your concern?
All right. Good morning to your cherished viewers. And let me use this opportunity to also extend our greetings to the private school fraternity in Ghana and all the children who have been greatly affected or more or less they've been denied their meritorious credits of educational entry to the senior high school. Over the years, we all know education providing in Ghana is basically by public and private education in Ghana as enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. And the transition from the junior high school to the senior high school is solely by merit, because by the end of the day, you have to be assessed from the junior high school through the BEC. And based on your grading system, you then qualify to enter into the senior high school of your choice. We believe that the computerized selection program came in as a grounds to eliminate the certain kind of discrepancies and challenges that you were facing during the manual system. But government has introduced what we call the 30% allocation of the category A schools to public students who are coming from the public JHS schools, as against their counterparts that are in the private schools. What it means is that our senior high school system has been categorized into certain categories. So we have category A up to category E, based on the educational infrastructures, based on programs and all that. And every meaningful Ghanaian wants to give a solid foundation to the child in order for the child to be able to get a good education or even go to the type of or choice of education that the child is looking for, which is actually enshrined in our constitution. And so therefore, as we speak now, our children having gone through this BEC examination, coming out with their good grades, and denied the access to category A schools. We have complained this over and over and over to the ministry that it is actually an infringement upon the rights of children, and even it is an affront to the constitutional provisions, specifically Article 17, 1 and 2. And so at this point in time, our next move is to ensure that justice prevails and these children, their rights are being protected. Because we can't wallow around the negotiation table whilst all the means of the negotiation has failed. So for public information, we have activated the SHS as required by law to come in and secure that they guarantees the right of these learners.
So hold on for me. Let me come in at this point. You are alleging that some students in private schools have been denied access to Category A schools. As an association or as a council, your next line of action is to go to SHS. What exactly are the details of your petition?
Very well. So it is not by alleging, even though you may take it as an allege, because there are evidential proof to that effect. Where within the government-owned document is stated obviously that 30% of the Category A schools should be reserved to public junior high students as against their counterparts in the private school. So there are factual issues. So our petition seeks to ensure that the unfair discrimination of this BEC whole thing is actually look at it. Because if you look at the 1992 Constitution, Article 17 clause 1 and 2 of the 1992 Constitution actually stress on the issue of discriminatory. And we have read on a certain precedent that has actually espoused the interpretation of discrimination on the fact that when the learners are on the core platform, they shouldn't be any form of discriminatory from the Gate and the Nates cases. Okay. And if you look at that, over the years, these learners have been discriminated. They want to go to a Category A school. They met the meritorious criteria of meeting the Category A schools. But government is saying that if private school children are allowed to go to Category A schools, all the allocations will be taken by them, you understand, based on their merits. And for that matter, the public school learners will not be able to have access. But entering into senior high school is not based on policies, it's based on credit. Because quickly, if you look at even our 1992 Constitution, Article 38, Clause 3B, speaks on educational meritorious grounds, that the children of the children who are supposed to enter into any educational platform should be on open and based on merit. So it's supposed to be open and based on merit. And our educational system has been structured that when you write the BECE, after you have gained certain kind of grades, then you choose a category which is also there. So we are trying as much as possible to ensure that SHS investigates the placement issue thoroughly and determine whether or not the 30% priority placement system is in breach of the 1992 Constitution, specifically the provisions cited above. And also recommend an abolition of this 30% priority placement. Because we believe that entry into the senior high school is solely by merit-based admission policy. It shouldn't be a knee-jerk policy whereby somebody has felt that the system in the public education is failing.
Well noted, Enoch. I just wanted to clarify. What exactly do you want SHS to do? So please highlight that quickly for me.
So one, to investigate the matter about the 30%, the entire placement issue.
Okay.
And determine whether or not the 30% allocation is constitutionally mandated or not. And two, recommend any immediate abolition of the 30% allocation. Three, issue directives to the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service to adopt policies that guarantees equal access to senior high schools for both public and private schools students, as required under the 1992 Constitution. And then any other remedies that are, seem to be granted or seem to be deemed fit by the SHS to also be granted. So these are the solid grounds that we are, we have activated the right to hearing my shroud.
Let me bring in Dr. Peter Anti. He's Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies. Thank you for your time here on Newsdesk. Now, you've heard the concerns raised by the National Council of Private Schools. They allege that they have been denied access to Category A schools. They state that government is allocating 30% for Category A schools to individuals who go to public institutions. Now, they are dragging government to charge. They are seeking justice. What are your thoughts on how best to resolve this impasse?
Thank you, and good morning to your viewers. I think that it's within their rights to do that. We have had this conversation over and over again about this supposed 30% priority placement. For me, I think it's one of the things that we need to have a second look at, because you cannot use administrative process to override performance or placement that is based on one's performance in the exam. So the fact that the person has performed and needs to be placed in a certain school cannot use an administrative process to place the person in school that is not the kind of that the person wants to be. So I think it's a nice step that they are to take this to independent body pronounce on it, so that we will have that kind of equality in terms of placement for our students in the private schools. I understand, because of course, if you look at the performance differences between the private and the
Dr. Peter, we seem to have some sort of interference. I don't know if you're listening live on any device. If probably you could mute that device, and then we could come back to you just to get your thoughts on that. I'm told I have better connection to you now, so please make your point.
All right, so I'm not listening to it, guys. So maybe I have to check it from your end. Just yeah. So the point I was trying to make is that it's up to the individual who sits for the exams to determine which schools that he or she needs to be placed based on the performance that the individual puts up, not because the person attended a good school or the person didn't attend a good school. This issue has come out because of the performance disparities that we have in our school system. Where
especially because, Doc, let me come in at this point, especially because there's a public perception that if you go to a private school, you're better off. You have better amenities, and you have better access to education as compared to individuals who go to government schools. And sometimes they don't even have enough equipment in their labs or even books in their libraries.
Yes, and that is the reason why government needs to sit up. Because if parents are, the decision to choose a school is the sole prerogative of the parent. So if a parent decides to take the ward to a school that he or she is guaranteed quality education, it does not, or it should not lie within the mark of or the mandate of government to decide where to place the student when the student technically have passed the exams and needs to get the kind of school that they want. So you cannot use policy to do that. That is why some people have suggested you look at the whole free SHS thing, and then you can still use the free SHS to ensure that those who would want to, you go to a private school and you want to go to a good public school, as our system is like, then you would have to maybe bring in something small to aid in the advancement of the policy. But if you are going to use this method of the priority placement to discriminate among those who are able to send their wards to private school, then that is not fair. And I think that the path that the private schools are taking would be a path for us to know whether it is constitutional or not. But for me, it is not a fair practice and should not be encouraged.
Executive Director for the Institute of Education Studies, Dr. Peter Andy, join us. And we also had Enoch earlier. He is with the National Council of private schools. We're taking a break. We'll be back to give you a wrap of the recent Afrobarometer report, which shows that 9 out of 10 Ghanaians support the continuation of the free senior high school policy. Thanks for staying with us here on NewsDesk. Now, a recent Afrobarometer report shows 9 out of 10 Ghanaians support the continuation of the free senior high school initiative. Also, 81% support the Planting for Food and Jobs program. Let's bring in Isaac Kofeje. He's a leading member of our research desk here at Journeys to just share with us some of the key findings. Let's start with what exactly the report says.
2024 result or report. Now, if you look on the touch screen, this is on the initiative called the Free SHS program. Now, Ghanaians were asked a very simple question. Some of the government flagship program, including the Free SHS, the Planting for Food and Job, one district, one factory, one village, one dam, should they continue? And other tax handles such as the e-levy. Ghanaians were asked a very simple question. Do you agree that the next government should continue or scrap this handle? Now, if you look at the free SHS, 85% of Ghanaians agree or strongly agree that this policy on the screen should be continued if the next government comes to power.
Okay.
However, on the side of e-levy, just 17% of Ghanaians, it means if it's sampled 10 Ghanaians, just 2 out of 10 says that the e-levy should be in full swing when the new government comes to power. But these are the top ones we have for you in terms of the free SHS and the e-levy. We'll go into the details where we have a breakdown of all government flagship programs and what Ghanaians are saying. Let's go to the breakdown and see what Ghanaians are saying in terms of what they agree and what they do not agree with this program. But at the moment, what we are learning from the Afrobarometer report is that about 9 out of 10 Ghanaians believe or strongly agree that the Free SHS program, which is one of government's biggest flagship programs, should be continued. This is the breakdown as put out by Afrobarometer. Let's go through this chart that you have on the screen.
Okay, I can see some colors.
Yes, if you see yellow, then it means that this is where we have the agree or strongly agree.
Okay.
If you see gray, neither agree or do not know or refuse or indifferent. Now, if you look at the purple side, that is where Ghanaians disagree with the initiative of flagship programs. So let's start with free SHS. 85% say they agree that it should be continued. If you look at the gray, that is those who are sitting on the fence, just 2%. Now, 13% of Ghanaians believe that the free SHS program should be scrapped. That's also very significant. 13% of Ghanaians believe that or say that the free SHS program, when the next government comes to power, should be scrapped. Now, let's look at Planting for Food and Jobs or Rearing for Food and Jobs program. 81%, just around the same percentage point as the free SHS. Just look at those who disagree, the same, 13%. Let's go to one district, one factory. It drops to 71%. One village, one dam drops to now 60%. And the biggest drop has to do with the electronic transaction levy, which is the e-levy that it was one of the most controversial tax handle that was introduced in 2022-2023. Just 17% of Ghanaians. And look at the disagreement, 79. So 8 out of 10 Ghanaians believe that, look, take e-levy away when you come to power. Any government that comes to power in 2024.
I have Adam Senanun with us. Kofi, I just want to wrap up with you on the sample size and the methodology used to collate this data. Brief us.
I mean, this is a national survey that was actually conducted by the Afrobarometer. About 2,400 Ghanaians were actually interviewed in this survey. If you look at the margin of error, it's just around 2%. And the confidence interval, or what we call the significance level of this survey, is around 95%. It means that anything that Afrobarometer puts in this report, they are 95% sure that this is actually correct. So if you ask me about the sample size, it falls within the acceptable domain or bracket. 2,400 Ghanaians were actually sampled, in this exercise, Fosti.
Thank you, Isaac Kofi Eje, a key member of our research desk. Now, let me bring in Edem Senano. He's on the African Union Anti-Corruption Board. He joins us with his perspective on some of the key findings in this latest Afrobarometer report. 9 out of 10 Ghanaians, they want the free SHS sustained. Your thoughts?
Well, obviously, it is providing some value. But I mean, for those of us within the CSO space, we think that some aspects of it need to be reformed.
What aspects?
It shouldn't just, for example, it shouldn't just be an open-ended thing for everyone. There are parents who are able to cater for their wards. They should be allowed to pay so that those who are vulnerable and very needy benefit from this. That way, the resource burden on government will be lower. And then there can be some, returns in terms of investments for infrastructure, for decks, books, and what have you. The overall burden on government is so high that we are finding that there are weaknesses in places where students need some things, and when government can't provide that, then there's a challenge. So it shouldn't be just an open thing. Let's be targeted so that there are some reserves that can be made out of making sure that a targeted approach gives us some savings.
We still have Dr. Peter Anti with us. Doc, clearly people are interested in maintaining the free SHS policy, and this is key because governments, if changed, would want to look at this finding and adopt the policy proposal. But then what are your thoughts about the free SHS policy as it is currently? Doc, you have to unmute for me so that I can hear you clearly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear now. Please make your point.
All right. So, yes, it's interesting that we have had this report coming from the Afrobarometer. I know that nobody in Ghana, at least as far as I'm concerned in my research activities, nobody in Ghana really would want a scrap of the free senior high school. The Afrobarometer puts the number at 17%. And I think that even if the question were well understood by these 17%, they wouldn't have even said that they don't want the next government to continue. So for continuity of the free senior high school, it is something that would happen and should happen. And I think that any government that comes with the intention to abolish or scrap the free senior high school would face the full wrath of the people. What the question did not bring out, and that is sometimes the difficulty you have with some of these quantitative works. What the question didn't bring out is, how do the people want the free senior high school to be continued in its current form or in a revised form? I wish that there was a follow-up question to really delve deeper into how they want the free senior high school to be continued. So it is a little bit problematic to just say that 9 out of 10 people wish free senior high school to continue. Of course, we know that. But what do the people really want? In what form should the free senior high school take as we go into 2025? That is what we all want to know. Are the people willing to accept the free senior high school in its current form, or they would want a certain form of revision of the policy? That takes us to the problems that were highlighted in this Afrobarometer. So if you look at the problems, education came number 4. And if you check the various data from Afrobarometer from 2008 till now, this is the first time that education has scored 24%. It tells you that although people want free senior high school to continue, they still see the education sector as having some sort of challenges that needs to be addressed. And that is why they have placed that as the problems in the country. They have placed that at number 4 of the problems in the country. So we should embrace a certain form of revision of the policy to address the teaching challenges that is facing the policy, so that we Ghanaians will continue to benefit from the policy as it's supposed to be.
Thank you, Dr. Peter Anti. He's Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies. Let me just wrap up with Adam Senanu here. Adam, the report also says that 79% of Ghanaians, they want the e-levy scrapped. Your final thoughts on that as we wrap up? Not
surprising at all. I mean, it had even been predicted that the studies that had been done in East and Southern Africa and elsewhere show that once you place levies on these electronic transfers, the market started going down, and individuals don't take too kindly to it. So I think that there's an overall majority who don't think that this has worked, and I think that whichever governments we have should just be so minded as to make the necessary changes.
Thank you, Adam Senanu. He's on the African Union Anti-Corruption Board. And thank you also, Dr. Peter Anti. Well, you're still watching NewsDesk. We'll be back with our exclusive interaction with the flag bearer of CPP. Time now to hit the campaign trail. We've been joined by the presidential candidate of the Convention People's Party, Nana Akosua from Poma Sapon Kumankuma. Thank you so much for your time here on NewsDesk.
Wonderful to be here.
Great. Now, with the passing of Akua Donkor, you are now the only female presidential candidate in the upcoming polls. I know you were very close to her.
It's really sad. The last I heard her speak, she looked healthy, she was strong, she was making her point. I sympathized with her when she was talking, you know, because sometimes there's this tendency to, like, not, I wouldn't say make fun of her, but not take her as serious as she is. Every time I've gone anywhere with her, I always leave the room respecting her the more, because she's able to make a point, and the point is clear, that she will tell you that as someone can. And that is the truth. A chunk part of the people do not understand some of the things that me and you are going to say here today. If it was being broadcasted to the whole country, you understand? You have your audience, no doubt, but most of the Ghanaian, so for somebody that really represented the marginalized, and not only that, one of the things that she's done for people like us is to give us a certain level of never giving up spirit, especially for women. Every woman listening to me, all the reasons why you can't do what you can't do, make it unreasonable. And all the excuses, make it inexcusable. No reason.
Your candidature presents a unique perspective to women participation in politics. For me as a young woman watching, I'm wondering what policy are you introducing should you be given the nod that would favor women and give us the opportunity to take up political roles?
Wonderful. The three major policies for Ghana, even though we have two others for the diaspora, which is the boundaryless Ghana, but the one I'm going to focus on quickly is the three major policies for Ghana. Our policies are just like what Osagyefo did. The reason why Osagyefo situation and the CPP has not been able to be duplicated is because it comes with a vision. A clear vision of what you want. And our clear vision is simple. We are looking for the welfare of the Ghanaian. We do not want to go to IMF. We don't want rhetorics. We want a situation where the Ghanaian will have ownership of the economy, would have ownership of the country. So our three flagship policy, which is the first one, is the agro show. The agro show for me is like somebody who is drowning and you just need to give the person a saving, something to take the person out, and you need to bring the person out before you even say, how do I even provide the CPR? You understand? You need to really take the person out of the water. Agro show is going to be the first thing that we do. That means that every farmer, and I want to say this clearly, every farmer listening to me today, whether it's you directly, the farmer, your auntie, the farmer, every farmer that plants in Ghana will not have to sell the produce unless he wants to sell. Government will buy every produce like the way we did with cocoa. And the simple reason is this. The farmer in my village, the next village and the 4 or 5 villages after, has no clue how many acreage of land that is being farmed for the okra that she's farming at that season, or pepper, anything. She has no clue. So when she farms, she is expected to now have a way of cutting the tomato, the onion, that whatever in season, to her village and then to the market. That is too much to ask of a farmer these days. She does not have any influence in the road. She doesn't know anything about tracking and nothing about marketing. So we are saying simply, with technology, we will know how many farmers within that environment has farmed a particular crop. That is what technology is supposed to do. So with the AgroSure, every farmer's produce will be uploaded onto a platform so that we have a clear understanding of what we have. And we are going to buy everything. Once you produce, you farm, you are done. You only need to cultivate the farm and make sure that it's harvest time. When it's harvest time, you have your money. For that policy alone, it means that that woman's farm that must be uploaded, somebody must know that she has farmed. So we have what we call government direct. Government direct is a policy which is already in Ghana, but because we do not care about the people that we represent, we have put policies that have won an award, but it's sitting somewhere under table. It is the what we are going to use it so that everywhere you walk to vote, every center you vote will become your government center. If I'm expecting a farmer or anybody to vote, walk into a center and vote for me so that I become the president and my government becomes the government of Ghana, then that person, where she walks to vote, will become her government center so that she can have access to government resources, so that she can be part of the democracy for which she is going to vote for me to have the power, whether it's for the parliamentarian, the DC, no matter what, wherever she wants to vote. The assembly person, that should be the government office. Because the definition or the essence of democracy, which is governments of the people, by the people, for the people, will become meaningful when they can now have an arrangement where they can govern themselves within that community, decentralized to the local level. The level that you asked her to vote for you should be her level of government. Because otherwise, if I tell her that AgroSure, we are going to, anything you plant, we buy, is she supposed to walk to the DCE's office or go look for the assemblyman or go look for the minister of agri or who, or come to me at the Flagstaff house before she gets to know that indeed her crop she has planted? No.
But to buy her produce, you would need money.
Precisely.
And government would need money.
Precisely.
But a future CPP government, are you saying you would boycott the IMF? Because that's where we get our money from.
We will not boycott the IMF. I can assure you we will not need the IMF.
How would you raise the money then?
Thank you. You remember I told you that CBP, we did 400 factories in 3 years. We did Akosombo. We did the motorway. We did even the ringway. Everything. Okay? That is of meaning and making any impact in Ghana was done under an administration. And let's not take it for granted that Osadefo is gone, and so that means no. The blueprint is there. It is a spirit of dedication, selflessness, and that is what we have. So we are going to follow the path of the people. Listen, the reason why CPP did what it did is because we believe in the capability of the African and the Ghanaian. We believe that God created us in this universe and did not put us here by choice, by mistake, and that we are here for a purpose, and that we can and must feed ourselves. Here, the last of our vision of our policy is what we call the Ghana shares. The Ghana shares, as part of these 3 policies, crowns the whole situation and brings meaning to what is real. Let anybody who sits here today, any of the systems or any of the government coming around, 24-hour economy, give me the other one, digitization, hub of whatever, let them give me the substance of how people are going to do it. Ghana Bashers simply states that after we have the government at your doorsteps, after we have the agro, everything uploaded, so that the farmer now can really farm in dignity and farm, not lose 30% of post-harvest losses that we speak and we put on paper as though it's nothing. What is going to happen is you sitting here and every one of us here, every Ghanaian, 20 million Ghanaian, listening to my voice, does not matter whether you are born blind, lame, tall, bright, not too bright, you would have access to 20,000 Ghana cedis. It is an allocation. It is not cash that will be given to you to mismanage. It is an allocation on your head. We are going to industrialize this country. And we are going to industrialize not by helping individuals who belong to us. We are going to industrialize by making sure that government is supporting the industrialization agenda. Just as we are a state-led economy, we believe in state-led economy. We believe that the state itself must be rich, but we also are a socialist system. So we believe that we must help the people to take ownership for themselves, for the country. Because today, if I say that there's going to be a factory for sugarcane, we would end up with what we have in the Commander factory, where after $34 million, 10 years between the two governments, not 1 teaspoon of sugar has been produced, simply because there's no ownership. The people there, now some foreign people have been given, Ghanaians, we put it in the wrong place, but because of the agro show, we are going to have every produce that is going to be produced in Ghana with timelines. We will know exactly where the corn is coming from, how many tonnage of oranges, tomatoes, everything. So you, a young person with your agro shop, would put in place a factory that would process the cassava.
So you want Ghanaians to own some of this?
We want to give you back ownership of Ghana.
So no foreign participation in state-owned enterprises?
Foreign participation will be for partnership.
Not for ownership?
Not for ownership of the land and not for the ownership of the factories. They would come and partner with you. And we have given you that. We need to reset the economy. We are changing the order of the economy we have, where 85 to 90% of us are in the informal sector, and we don't have enough income. We are taxed until we can't even carry any load anymore. And yet, let me give you a quick statistics here. The reason why we go back to IMF and keep going is a simple one. It's not because we are not self-sufficient and all those things. So it's because currently, if you look at the debt that we have, how much we owe, our debt based to the GDP is about 50-something or 40-something, 8%. It's really, really high. It used to be even 70. Now it's come down a little. However, when you look at our repayments, our interest rate is 10%. We are using over almost 50% of our revenue collected, our taxes, to pay for the interest on our loans. When you have used that portion, the rest is what you use to pay for everything else included. And it's not possible to give any social intervention program. That is why our NHIS are not working, even though the minister said that if the money that is collected was paid to NHIS, this is the current minister himself, when he was the NHIS boss, says that if the money collected was paid to the NHIS people, authorities properly, no Ghanaian would have had to have an operation and pay for it. So the Ghana Bashers is going to re-change the system and give power back and bring the economy back to where it belongs, where we'll be self-reliant, where we can we will be consuming what we produce here, and what we produce here is what we consume, and be able to export. And the best part that I love is to be able to bring back the ingenuity and the creativity of the youth. The youth of today who walk through the desert, go through capsizing boats, get to Libya, get to other places, and then now end up in other countries and become our diasporans who have sustained this economy. We have to sustain the economy. Every home, there's somebody who is struggling outside to help us. That person now have a chance to live his dream where he was born, because Ghana is going to provide them with the opportunity to do that. Let's not talk about money. People think, I'm going to get, we will need 25 billion to reset the economy back to on track, so we never go to IMF. We didn't go to IMF and will not go to IMF. Not because we don't want to be part of IMF. Listen, America owes 128%. They make, their revenue, their GDP is 21 trillion.
Okay.
The loans they own is 128 or something trillion. What it simply means is that they owe more than we owe by side, because we owe about 50% of our GDP, but we can't pay. Their interest rate is 1%. The money, the percentage of revenue they collect versus their payment is 5%, less than 5%, when ours is over 50%.
But the thing is that the currency they operate in is in dollars, and they owe in dollars. Unfortunately, we owe in dollars, meanwhile we spend cedis, and that's where the disparity is.
That is exactly the point we're making, because today, I've been a businesswoman all my life.
Okay.
And from day one, I've gone to London to buy things, I call Liberia to buy things, I call Hifa, you understand? Today, the lady who goes to Togo to buy, I'm not buying from that lady anymore. My cousins and family who used to go to China to buy, most of them are not traveling anymore. You know why? It is cheaper to walk to the China mall to buy than to buy from the market. It is cheaper for me to go to the China mall to buy megaphones that I was looking for my campaign than to send somebody to Togo to buy. Listen, we have changed we have impoverished our people without knowing, with lack of wrong policies and lack of concern for the Ghanaian. We must put the Ghanaian at the center of every policy that we make. We don't have production. We're not producing anything. We are a state of petty traders. We trade, we go and buy and sell. Now you allow foreigners to come to the country, to come and set factories here, to come and set retail centers here, to come and do wholesaling here.
So a future CPP government would let everyone go back?
No, that is what CPP doesn't do.
Okay. What exactly would you do?
CPP would put systems in place, like I've said, it's 3 policies. It will regulate itself. I'm not going to sack anybody from Ghana. Please listen to me. We are not.
Okay.
Any Ghanaian who is, but very soon, they themselves will have to leave. Because if we are producing properly here, the Agbeklakro that I like would have factories produced in Agbeklakro, because the cassava will be bought. And that cassava, that Agbeklakro will be consumed here and be exported. Because Agbeklakro is so nice for events and for parties and occasions. So if I can sit here and buy potato chips and things, somebody should buy Agbeklakro frozen and also use it outside. Do you get my point? Now, these factories, why are there not factories all over? Why is it that everybody is not putting factories in other parts of the world? It's because they have local production that can compete. We will halt the importation, the allowing people to come and own. You already own, you will stay here. We will not send you out. But we will not allow you.
I want to get your thoughts on 2 key issues, because I'm told we are running out of time. 1, education. The recent Afrobarometer report says that 9 out of 10 Ghanaians, they want the free SHS policy retained. Will a future CPP government retain the free SHS policy?
Even me as an individual, go and Google me. I studied, my passion has been with education. CPP is the first person that brought free SHS. Our free SHS will not end as a free SHS. It's from kindergarten to university level. A lot of people my age went to university free. Okay? Never let anybody tell you it can't be done. My daughter in the US finished a PhD. I didn't pay anything, I paid only small amount of money. We will put systems in place for everybody to get the opportunity to excel and be the best, because God lives within man, and it's the human mind that solves every problem. And we are fortunate to have the Ghanaian with the right spirit. So yes, free SHS, which was started under the Convention People's Party, will be deepened and made better. However, initially, we will still open the door for those who can afford to pay for it. And then later, as the agro show, the Ghana Bashes really industrializes the nation, and we have a lot of money to give in several social intervention programs. There will be nothing to ask. Anybody can afford, can enjoy. But for now, those who can afford. My children went to Soul Clinic. So why ask me if I paid for Soul Clinic to now come and give free when they can't even get food to do? Indeed, the first year of CPP, young people listening to me, CPP is free SHS, but better.
Okay, let me get your thoughts
on meat and chicken and
mining.
Fish in your meals.
How would this future CPP government deal with the issue of illegal mining? And you have 2 minutes to make this point.
Thank you. Illegal mining, the word is illegal mining, will be halted on the day that we take power. There will be no illegal mining. No.
You mean all forms of mining? Because illegal mining in itself is an illegal act. Do you mean all forms of mining?
That's why I emphasize on illegal mining. The illegal mining is the mining that a person is using in the night, trying to get into a forest, being able to use the water bodies wrongly. We will halt every mining.
So except you halt mining on forest reserves and water bodies.
And then, I want to tell every young person listening to me that we are halting because we love. Look at the gentleman standing there. They don't have even boots on. The chemicals are going into their body. They have no clue that the chemical that they are standing in, their body is absorbing it. I'm not going to let my children die because I won't give them a better opportunity. I'm going to give every young person, we will halt the mining. However, you would own the gold. Take my words on this one. But you would own the gold. That gold, we would give your Ghana Bashers, if you need 20 million US dollars to bring the equipment, don't worry. Ghana Bashers means that you need 20,000 youth would put their shares in that mine.
I see how passionate Akosia is, and I have messages coming in. I've just been told by my producer that by popular request, we would bring her back into the studio to just share with us her policies. She is the only female presidential candidate, and she's hoping to garner your votes in the upcoming polls. My name is Faustina Safo, and that's how we wrap up the bulletin. For more news, please log on to myjoeonline.com. Good morning.